All right. So, welcome to With Your Mind in Mind. Today we have the famous Kari Mirabal. I'm so excited to have you here. Today we're going to talk about career dating and networking and all the things that you are a guru in. Um, Except we're going to throw in that the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and so we'll just talk a little bit about how we can still do all the things you taught us to do last year in our naked networking and career dating workshops. Just figure out how to put a spin on it. So welcome, Kari.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what career dating is? Because obviously I know, but tell us a little bit about career dating and naked networking, what you do.
Absolutely. So, I am a person who helps people network smarter. And I do that through keynotes and workshops and one on one coaching. And so, I talk about traditional networking, which is my naked networking topic. I talk about LinkedIn, digital assets, and that's more relevant than ever in this day and age, right? And then I also did a TED talk on career dating. And what that is dating your career, how to fall in love with what you do again and again. So I have a background in IT recruiting. And so a lot of people come to me and say, I want to make a transition, help me get a new position. And a lot of times when we talk, we find out that a lot of times they can just reinvent themselves, or maybe they want to ask for a promotion, or they want to empower themselves to be the CEO of their career. And not to discourage anyone, but sometimes we make the decision it's time to leave the company, but sometimes we make the decision it's time to stay and just look at things with a different mindset. So that's what career dating is all about, is empowering yourself to make those types of decisions.
I love that. Thank you for explaining that. I personally have been challenged with, career dating as well as dating. Just regular dating is
Me
hard.
too, sister.
So hopefully we can figure out the career dating part and the other will fall in line. Okay, so I know you and I met, I don't know how many years ago. Like
Maybe three years ago.
more than three.
I think we met in another life when
Okay.
we were about two, because we're both from St. Louis. Go Cards. But yeah, I want to say it's been 3 years, I believe, maybe four.
Maybe four. It feels like more like four. And I remember you had such energy around helping people network and get out of their shells. So tell me a little bit about how I can do that now when that traditional networking isn't working. I can't necessarily go to an event and meet people and pass out business cards. What's the best way to network now that the world is kind of upside down and everything's.
Yeah, it sure is. Crazy times. One of the things I love about tools online like LinkedIn is it can be an awesome conduit to connect with people. I call it your digital asset. So the first thing you want to make sure you do is have an awesome profile. I hear a lot from clients, "Oh, I'm not on there very often, so I just kind of put something together." And I'm like, "No, it's an asset of yours. You want to make sure from top to bottom that you're representing yourself, your brand professionally." So we want to have a professional profile. Remember, it's not a resume. It is a networking site. So you want to talk a little bit about who you are as a human, what inspires you, what you're passionate about, what your skills are, and have a really nice, picture and share your knowledge on the tool, because as you're putting, good into the universe, it's going to come back to you when you share information. So having that profile is the very, very first thing that's really important, especially nowadays, because pictures are worth 1,000 words, right? The next thing you want to do is you want to start building your connections. And so on LinkedIn, it's a little bit different. Like you said, when you go to a conference, everybody kind of knows, put the badge on, get the drink, shake hands. LinkedIn is self-directed
Mhm.
and it's 24/7, which I love, but it's the same premise. Networking is about how to get from point A to point B faster. But more importantly, it's about making authentic connections with people that you can help as well. So one of the biggest mistakes people make in networking, whether it's traditional or on LinkedIn, is it's what's in it for me, what's in it for me, what's in it for me. And so I'm a big advocate of pay it forward. And that means when you start networking with someone, you let them know this is my intention for wanting to connect with you. And also, how can I help support you at this time? And that's a wonderful way to get comfortable with networking if it's not something that's your favorite thing to do on a Friday night, is be of service to other people.
And sadly, that's what I'm doing most Friday nights. But yeah, that's
Me too.
no, that's good. Okay.
And you know, it's funny, you mentioned earlier about dating, we joke, but there are a lot of commonalities between dating and networking and career transition.
Right.
So for example, don't come across too strong. It's kind of like courting. There's a process, right? You want to get to know, you want to let things marinate. You want to get to know the other person. How can I help support your business? What are some good prospects for you? You don't want to be a fair weathered friend. You know, if you're in a relationship, whether it be, you know, romantic or even a friendship, if it's always one-sided, you're always giving, you know, there needs to be some boundaries put in place there too. So dating is interesting, but so is networking. It's like you have to know, I talked about this in my TED talk, something that you want. So who do you want to connect with and why? So I have a 3-step strategy: plan, connect, and grow. So plan, who do you want to talk to and why? What is your intention for reaching out to that person on LinkedIn or wherever? And then connect, what's the best way to reach that person? So if you are a CEO that's, you know, 78 years old and you work in the manufacturing industry, you're probably not going to be on Snapchat, right? You're probably not going to be. So you have to really think, like, does it make sense for me to use LinkedIn as a conduit for communication if that person isn't really even active on the tool? So you have to, a lot of my clients that are nervous, they like to hide behind, well, I reached out, you know, 4 times on LinkedIn and they never, you know, wrote me back. So I guess they're not interested. It's like, no, you're knocking on doors and they're not home. So let's pick up the phone. Let's write a letter. Let's do a drop by, you know, whatever. And then the last piece of that is grow. You always want to continue to be a valued resource in your network. How can you help those around you? What videos or books can you share? What motivational quote? What little piece of knowledge can you, even if it's just like an open job, what little piece of knowledge can you share that might change someone else's life? You know, don't be selfish in that. You know, help. You know, again, back to dating, it's funny. Sometimes you go on a date and you're like, we're not in alignment, pass. But how often do you sit back and go, you know, this wasn't a fit for me, but I have a girlfriend who loves, you know, archaeology or whatever. Let me introduce you to her. A lot of times we get tunnel vision. You know, if someone says, hey, I've got a job I want to introduce you to, and you're like, oh, I love my job, I'm not interested, no thanks. Wait, pause and ask yourself, who might benefit from this knowledge? Maybe post it on LinkedIn. So again, that pay it forward concept is huge when it comes to networking, and digital social media networking makes it so much easier for us to share that information. So those are just some of the tips that I work with my clients on.
That's awesome. I think seeing that as a positive is true. You can, just statistically speaking, you can reach out to so many more people. And I love that you mentioned sharing content. It's a great way to get to know people's thought processes or the culture of their company. Even if you go back and look at their profiles and read the things that they've written, the posts, the articles, sometimes that gives you that conversation starter when you do reach out to a potential hiring manager or a recruiter. You can go, hey, I saw that you and your family went, you know, in the Adirondacks, whatever, right? And
that connectivity, the what I say in the book is, when you have commonality with someone, it leads to likability. And when people like you, then that helps foster trust. And when people trust you, that's when you hear about opportunities like a potential sale opportunity or a potential career opportunity or a chance to get invited to an event that maybe you wouldn't have had that chance had you not put yourself out there. So you're absolutely spot on about finding that commonality. And LinkedIn is awesome because you can track someone's activity or read their profile and see what they're into, where they went to school, kind of sports they like, or what, you know, interests they have.
Right. No, that's good. So tell me some of the challenges right now. So I know you've got quite a few clients that come to you for career coaching and advice, especially on transition. I know that you and I chatted a little earlier about the ability to reinvent yourself, right? And so this is the time for some of us to do that, right? We've been afforded the opportunity to kind of go out and do our own thing. But what are some of the challenges that you think people are running into transitioning kind of by force, right? They probably
Uh-huh.
would not have changed if this pandemic hadn't happened. So what kind of
Exactly.
challenges are you seeing, and what feedback do you have in that regard?
Sure. It's interesting because most of my clients fall into two camps. Those that, measured twice and cut once and were prepared. Nobody knew this was coming, right? And so when it came, a lot of my clients were like, oh my gosh, 6 months ago, you told me I should get more active on LinkedIn and I didn't. And now here I am working from home and I have the perfect opportunity and I've missed the boat. So I always tell those folks it's never too late to start. Start where you're at. Let's pick it up and let's go now, right? But then the other side are clients who were prepared, who are just pivoting and reinventing themselves. And the important thing here is that you have a choice. You can be a victim and sit at home and isolate and complain and wah wah, or you can look at, I prefer the live stage. In the first 5 weeks of COVID, many conferences that I was already scheduled to speak at canceled, understandably so. And I love the stage. I love the interaction with, 5,000 people in an audience. However, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing a lot more webinars. I'm doing more podcasts. I'm picking up more career clients, more networking coaching clients right now, because I know speaking will come back. But in the meantime, what and how can I retool the gifts and assets that I help my clients with in different ways? So you can either look at it like, gosh, this is wham wham victim, or hey, what is the universe calling me to do that's different? And explore those possibilities, because a lot of my clients are reinventing right now, and I think that's pretty exciting. I love encouraging people to consider new ways to bring those gifts to the universe. So it's an exciting time, I think.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. That it might just be you and I on that, because I mentioned on one of our calls earlier this week. I said, um, I don't know how I couched it, but they were like, "What are you doing now? Like, what have you been up to?" And I said, "Well, I was afforded the opportunity to work full time on my passion, right?"
There you
Which,
go.
and after I said it, I was like, I mean, yeah, it is a pivot, but it's time.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people are, from a mental health perspective, are really struggling with identifying who they are, because
Yes.
so much of who we are is what we do.
Yep.
And I think this time has afforded a lot of people the opportunity to either, like you said, they either become a victim and it's, woe is me. And some people are like, I've been doing that for 30 years and I hated it, right?
Yep.
It wasn't even what I wanted to do. And so this is that opportunity to just kind of, well, if I could have my dream position, what would that be?
That's
And
right.
then go for that. And so I love the work that you do. You've helped thousands of people try kind of reinvent themselves. And so I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing. You are my hero, of course.
Oh, well, I love you, and I'm excited that you are allowing me to be part of your journey, because I will never forget when we met and you were crying, actually. And you said that I said some things in my presentation that inspired you to consider going down the entrepreneurial route. And I'm all for it, because I believe that you have to be the CEO of your own career. And I believe what that means is you don't work for companies.
Mm-hmm.
Companies work for you.
Right.
And what I mean is this mindset needs to change of, wow, every experience I have, every training I attend, every certification that I get, every altercation that I experience in the workplace, I'm learning and I'm growing. And what is the universe trying to teach me? And as you're going through those experiences, like you said, a lot of people think their work is their identity. Well, I jump out of bed every day excited to, work with my clients and do what I do. But a lot of people, they kind of play that victim route. Well, I can't do this or I can't do that. A little bit of risk taking is required. I left a 6-figure salary job when I was 3 months pregnant with my first son to start my own business, because I decided that being a stay-home mom and running a consulting firm would allow me to pick and choose the clients I wanted. And also it would afford me the time to really invest in my kids, which is still number one for me. And working in a traditional position would not have allowed me to do that. So I have no regrets. And then taking those risks, because what I see, I always say start with the end in mind. What is my goal and what steps do I need to take to get there? And then who can help me along the way? One of the things I want your audience to really take away from this session is people often surprise you, but you have to give them the benefit of the doubt that asking the right questions, there's a 50-50 chance they'll say yes. And so what if they say no? So my book is called it's dear to my heart. It's dear to my heart because it's you already have the no. And that's the whole premise behind networking. What do I have to lose by going for it, taking a risk, and asking someone, hey, I've always wanted to work for blah, blah, blah industry and blah, blah, blah company. Would you take 15 minutes and share with me what you like about it? What are some things you wish you knew 10 years ago before you started down this path that you'd be willing to share with me? And when you're authentic and when you're intentional and you just ask a question, what's the worst that's going to happen? They say no. Okay, well, I had to know before I even picked up the phone and asked them for this favor or emailed them or messaged them on LinkedIn. So what am I losing? And with every person that says no, I promise you, just keep going because someone will eventually say yes. And sometimes all you need is that one yes to catapult you towards a different pathway. And a lot of people are scared of, can you guess why? Same with kind of dating, right? Like we're single now. And as I work with people that are, in this position, what do you think is the number one fear?
I don't know, a failure?
Rejection.
Yeah.
At least that's my experience. Well, I'm afraid to be rejected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no one likes how that feels. But one of the things that I look at when I consider networking or dating for that matter, right? Career dating, the right people will reject you. And what I mean by that is, I believe that sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm sitting up to the universe. I want this, 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 and this. And the universe is like, ha, I have a sense of humor. You have to learn that, and that before I just give you this, this, and this. You have to earn it, right? So you go through that experience of having different types of people enter your life and growing and learning from every experience that you have. But you have to put a little skin in that game too. You got to be willing to take that risk. And I think in my book and in my TED Talk and even in conversation with clients and sharing some of the most amazing stories and people that I've met by doing simply that, I mean, gosh, you just never know. I mean, if you hadn't come up to me that day, who knows? I mean, it took courage for you to say the things you said to me, and I respected you very much from then on. So that's what people I really think can take away from this time is take a risk, work outside your comfort zone,
That's good.
and yeah.
I think that taking a risk is kind of difficult for some of us, right? I mean, things are so uncertain, especially now. We've got millions of people out of work who just probably never even saw it coming. There are entire industries that have been disrupted as a result of kind of this pandemic. And so taking a risk is, I think it's invigorating, right? You mentioned that to have the opportunity to go, you know what, I'm going to try something different and I'm going to see how it goes. But I understand that not everyone is comfortable enough in doing that. I don't know that I would have been 5 years ago to say, you know what, I'm just going to start my own company and we're going to wing it. And because of you and because of the way that you've mentored me in those years, I had that confidence to go, I can do it. I mean, I can give it a try. And I remember you said that and after, maybe it was at your TED Talk when afterwards, and you're like, just go for it. Just go for it. Have a plan, but go for it. And so you've definitely been a huge impact.
Sorry, my son is going, love you. My son's going on an interview today.
Justice, who's it?
It's Marcus.
Hi, Marcus.
Yeah. So working from home means you have teenagers that walk by and you know how that goes. So sorry. But yes, no, I'm with you on that whole concept of it has to be the right timing. The timing is also important and that drive. Yes. Sitting down and having a plan. I don't recommend everybody quits their job today and, hey, I'm going to go do whatever. But you have to have a plan, see a need, fill a need. I'm working with a client right now who had a plan to launch her company, and it was to travel all throughout the country and help schools, learn different ways to teach kids. Well, then COVID hits. So this week we started working on a brand new pivot for her. She's now offering training classes for parents who are now working with their kids in home. And so she's training parents versus working like in the schools across the country, which was her original plan. So that's an example of a pivot of she saw a need and she filled a need. And now parents and kids are going to benefit from having, you know, her tutoring and her help online. So you just have to, you know, I'm a big person that prays and, you know, puts the message to the universe. And when you get that feeling, I call it the 10-second rule in the book. When a feeling comes to you, like, gosh, I should introduce myself to that person. I should, you know, take this action.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself 10 seconds, because more than that, you might talk yourself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, you know, if it's not the right thing, the universe will reject it for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, no, that's not the path I had. I get a lot of calls with people disappointed. I really wanted that job. I really wanted that job. And then I just got my Dear Joe letter. And I tell them, oh, great, let's celebrate that, because the universe was saying, oh, little did you know, but they're not going to pay you what you're worth. Little did you know the boss is a beast, right? Little did you know it's going to take you away from your family. You know, you didn't know these things, but the universe knew these things. So celebrate it. And, you know, rejection is not necessarily a bad thing. You know, it just keeps us going. And that's why we don't want to put all our eggs in one basket.
Right.
You know, diversify your portfolio is what I say.
Mm-hmm.
Have different networks in different industries,
Mm-hmm.
different people, different ages, different everything. You know, I think diversity helps us be stronger, but a lot of people silo their network into, oh, I have an IT background, so 99 out of my 100 connections are all IT people. Well, we need to expand outside that a little bit. And in the process of doing that in life as well as professionally, you learn from people that are different than you,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. And right now, I know one of the services that we're offering is that diversity and inclusion training, right? To come
Yes.
to organizations and talk not just about diversity and inclusion, but that equitable treatment of employees. Because just because you've got a diverse team and they're included doesn't mean that they're necessarily in unequitable grounds. And so that's a huge conversation right now. A lot of companies are realizing, because of the pandemic and because of now people working remote, that their teams are not diverse enough, right? From an age perspective or culture or experience.
Right.
Because, you know, like you said, we do that one thing. We make widgets and that's all we do. But what happens when no one needs to buy widgets anymore, right? And so if you're not continuously innovating, which you can't do if you've got this kind of massive group think, right? You've got to have people going, hey, have we tried this? Or this worked for me at a different company. So I agree that ability to have a diverse network has helped me even tremendously. And launching my nonprofit, people were like, hey, how can I help? And I've got like attorneys and doctors, people in mental health. I mean, but it's because I listened. You know, my first naked networking seminar that I sat in, and I took those things to heart. And so I know that that's helped me in this transition. So again, know that the work that you're doing is helping, even if it's not your clients that you talk to every day. Know that your message is very important, and we're hearing it, and we're applying it. So don't stop doing the amazing things you do. You are a rock star. So
Thank you.
All right. So before we wrap up, I want to ask you, like, how do we get in touch with you? Because you mentioned a couple of things, and you just kind of said them really quickly. So we're going to go back. And so you wrote a book.
Yes.
And it's called You Already Have the Know.
Yes.
Where can I buy your book?
You can go to my website, and there's a link there to Amazon. You can also go to TED Talks and type in my name, or you can go to my website and there's a link. So those, you know, those resources are definitely there. Also on YouTube, I have some videos and information. So my website is just my name, karimirabal.com. And then of course I'm on LinkedIn, and I have a Facebook and all the other ones too. So my website's probably the best place.
Okay, awesome. So what can we do? Like if I wanted to help you right now, what can I do to give you support right now? What can I do to help you out? What do you need in this time?
You know, right now, I always tell clients I donate a lot of my time to help people. And so I tell people the way you can pay me back is to pay it forward to someone else. So Marcus Aurelius Anderson is one of my mentors, and he wrote the foreword to my book. And when I was going through a really, really tough time, he helped me out in ways that I'll never be able to explain. But at that particular time, I told him, thank you for this gift, and I will honor you by returning that particular act of kindness. So right now I am in the process of working with, oh my gosh, I'm going to start crying.
It's fine.
There's an individual that I've been blessed to work with in my universe named Richard Rosario, and he's down in Florida, and he was convicted of a crime that he did not commit. He spent 20 years in prison. He was released 4 years ago. And because the facts were there that he did not commit this crime. And through my network, it was brought to my attention that he would like to go on the road and tell his story, and that he has a dream to do a TEDx or a TED Talk to share his story of not giving up, don't be a victim. And I watched his documentary on Dateline, and I learned about his family. He has a beautiful family, and we are actually connecting in a couple months down in Orlando. And I've been blessed to be able to guide him and help him and work with him. So in a way, this is how I'm paying back the kindness that Marcus gave me when I needed it most. I'm helping Richard and his family go to this next level. So when people say, how can I help you? I always say, if I'm giving you the gift of my knowledge or my time, pro bono, so to speak, give that to someone else. Because if we all behave in ways where, be the change you want to see in the world, right? The more kindness we show and display, the ripple effect is amazing. And when you give a gift of time or knowledge, it always comes back to you in one way or another. So right now, sure, I would love to say, send me referrals for keynote speaking or workshops or one-on-one clients. But truthfully, I think the way your folks can help me is to just help someone else right now.
Yeah.
Everybody needs that.
Great.
So stay tuned. I'm so excited to work with this guy, and I know it's going to be amazing.
That's awesome. I'm so blessed to
Isn't
have
that
you.
cool?
I love, and Marcus Aurelius Anderson, by the way, I mentioned him in my, I don't know, one of the calls I was on yesterday. I think there was this technology professionals thing that I'm doing, podcast. And I mentioned him and talking about the gift of adversity, right? And
Yes.
especially right now. I mean, the times are tough for everyone. And so if we can see this time as a gift, and then we can continue to give back, which is your point. So
Yes.
I will continue to do that. I will continue to give back and do all that I can to support you.
Thank you.
I'm excited for you and what's happening this year. I know it's a crazy year, but I just see your spirit and your energy, and it's just as bubbly and amazing as it always has been. So thank you so much for.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys. So Kari Mirabal, thank you for being here for With Your Mind in Mind. I will be talking to you very soon, and hopefully I can get out of this state and come hug you.
I know. We are going to the Caribbean as soon as all this starts to slow down a little bit.
Absolutely. We deserve it. We deserve it. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank you.
day. Thanks for coming.
You too.